How do I summarize this movie without sounding weird? I'm just gonna go for it. Hey guys, it's Tom. So yet another movie that got a limited release in December in places like New York and Los Angeles finally opened wide for the rest of the country. Actually it was this past weekend, but I didn't get to see it until this weekend. Yeah, whatever. It's called A Monster Calls, directed by
J.A. Bayonne.
Now, as you probably heard in my introduction, summarizing this movie might sound a bit weird, but I'm just going to go for it. So, A Monster Calls revolves around a young schoolboy named Connor, played by Louis McDougall. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. He lives with his mother, played by Felicity Jones, who's very ill. His father, played by Toby Kebbell, and his grandma, played by Sigourney Weaver, come to visit to help out with the family. So not only does he have that on his mind, but he's also bullied at school. He doesn't have any friends, and one night this tree comes to life, and he's voiced by Liam Neeson. This tree is close to his house and comes to visit Connor and tells him that he will tell him 3 stories throughout the course of a couple of nights that will somehow deal with what Connor is going through. I know that sounds weird, but that's all I want to say regarding a plot synopsis without giving anything away, because I didn't really know the plot of this movie. I went in barely knowing a single thing about this movie. I barely saw a trailer. I only really saw the poster, and all I knew was it was about a young boy who befriends a tree monster, and the tree monster was voiced by Liam Neeson, and that alone made me say, I want to see this movie. So I didn't know much about the movie, and despite some annoying people in my theater, which is a different story for a different time, I enjoyed A Monster Calls. First, let's talk about the performances. Louis McDougall, again, I hope I'm saying that name correctly, who plays the young kid in this movie, Connor, he is outstanding. I am really impressed by this child's acting. It doesn't feel forced. Pretty much every emotion conveyed in this movie feels real. He's outstanding. Really, everyone in the film is doing really good. Sigourney Weaver, Felicity Jones, Toby Kebbell, Liam Neeson as the voice of the tree monster. The acting here is really solid and pretty much flawless. The acting here is not a problem. What did bother me, though, are a few character motivations and relationships. For example, there are some scenes where Connor has this reason to do something, or he has this emotion, and while it's acted well, it does kind of come out of left field, and I'm watching going, where did that come from? And while I totally bought the relationship that Connor had with his mother, the relationship he had with his father and with his grandma, I didn't 100% buy the relationship between the grandmother and the mother. It felt off to me, like it wasn't really there, and if it was there, it wasn't as strong as the other relationships in the movie. Now let's talk about the monster in this movie, which is the tree monster, as I keep saying, voiced by Liam Neeson, because that's what made me want to see the movie in the first place. I really like the design of this monster. Dirty branches, which makes it look really old, and fiery eyes and mouth. That was really cool to see. And the way it moved was somehow both menacing yet graceful. Given the part of the movie, the way it wrapped its branches around objects either terrified me or made me feel really warm. So while I definitely enjoyed the tree, and I did enjoy the scenes with the tree and the kid, the CGI in those shots where it's those two, it wasn't always 100% believable. It certainly looked fine on its own, but blended with the live action, not so much. Also, there are some segments in this movie that use nothing but watercolor animation, and it looks really beautiful. We hardly get watercolors in movies anymore, so seeing that was just really refreshing. Plus, something that I caught, and this is something that I usually don't pay that much attention to, was the clever editing in this film. For instance, there might be a bit in the film where Connor closes a door and then immediately cuts to him opening another door in a different place, but maybe he's on the other side of the door, and it's made to look like it's one fluid movement. I don't know if that was intentional, if that clever editing was intentional or not, but I just liked the way it looked, and if it was intentional, it was very clever and very well utilized. I would say that the overall story of this film didn't really grab me until the last act. Up until then, I was enjoying the film. While I had my issues with it, the CGI blend with the live action, some of the character motivations and relations, but I would be lying if I said that the last act didn't make my eyes wet. It's subdued, but it's still emotionally powerful with a really neat message that's revealed at the end. I don't want to use the word nice message because I feel like if I explain that, it might give something away. So right now, I'm just going to go with neat. It's a very neat message. So the ending did bring up the film a little bit for me than just simply being enjoyable, but just not brilliant. I think it's a highly enjoyable film with great acting, mostly good CGI, some refreshing animation, and overall wonderful. So for me, I'm gonna give A Monster Calls 4 out of 5 stars. We'll see how Jurassic World 2 turns out when this guy directs that movie and how the CGI works in that movie as well. Alright guys, that's my review of A Monster Calls. I'm sorry this review was a little bit late because I did see this film the weekend after it got the wide release here, but I finally did get a chance to see it because I wanted to review it for you guys. I actually saw this as a double feature with this and Silence, which I'm going to film right after this and hopefully put up right after this as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have seen A Monster Calls, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. And also, I want to take this time to say thank you to everyone who's reached out to me ever since I started posting movie reviews again on this YouTube channel. Whether you've thanked me on Twitter or on Facebook, and just all the great feedback you guys are giving me, it means a lot. Thanks a lot. If you like this, then be sure to give that thumbs up button a click, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Urrutia.